Hi, Tim Unkert here. In this video, I'm going to go through some techniques for factoring a quadratic when a, the number in front of x squared, is 1. Let's draw out what I mean here. So let's pick a good color. And so if we have a quadratic, it's going to be of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay. When it's in that form, we can factor it when a equals 1. So the number in front of x squared equals 1. Typically, you will not see the 1 written in front of x squared. This strategy will work during that. Okay, so let's get to it. So what we need to do is we list the factors of c. So I have this quadratic. We're factoring x squared plus 7x plus 12. We're going to list the factors of c, and we're going to start out by listing them both positive and negative. So positive 1 times positive 12 will give me 12. Positive 2 times positive 6 will give me 12, and positive 3 times positive 4 will also give me positive 12. Now we can multiply two negatives together to get the same thing. So we can do negative 1 times negative 12, negative 2 times negative 6, and negative 3 times negative 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, or what we're going to do next is we're going to look for the pair of factors here that adds up to positive 7. All right, so let's circle that pair, and that is positive 3 and positive 4. They add up to positive 7 multiplied to positive 12. We're going to take this pair of factors and write our quadratic in factored form as x plus 3 times x plus 4. And that's it. That is our quadratic in factored form. Now, another teacher that I work with, he does a little bit different strategy. He has a square and a triangle, and he may have gotten this from somewhere online, so I'm not claiming he made it, but he does square plus triangle. That's going to equal the middle term, so that's going to equal 7 in this case. And square times triangle is going to equal the constant c, the last number by itself. So that's going to equal 12. Okay, and the square, whatever number you put up here for the square, you have to put here. Same thing with the triangle. So if you're playing with the numbers, you can get, well, 3 plus 4, that's 7, and 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, and then you can use those numbers, 3 and 4 here, to write it into factored form. Okay, so different method, but basically the same end result. Okay, let's go down and look at another example here. So now, and let's take note, in this example, both b here and c were positive. Okay, we're down to our second example here. Let me just get down here. And we have x squared minus 7x plus 12. So the difference here is the term, let me get the same color here. The term in front of x, b, is negative. C is still positive. So b is negative, c is positive. Okay, so if we list out the factors, in that particular instance, the factors have to multiply to a positive number, but add to a negative number, and that means they're going to be both negative. So I can kind of shortcut my method here. Instead of listing out all the positive and all the negative factors, I can just list out the negative factors of 12 here. So I'll do negative 1 and negative 12, and then negative 2 times negative 6, and then negative 3 times negative 4. And if I list these out, I see that -3 plus -4 will equal -7. So if I'm doing the other teacher's technique where I do the box plus the triangle here, I can put in -3 plus -4. That's going to equal that middle number, -7. And this works when I do the box times the triangle. Also, -3 times -4, that's going to equal +12. So that will work as well. Or I can use my technique where I just circle the pair of factors that multiplies to +12 and adds to -7. And I'm going to use these to write this into factored form as x minus 3 times x minus 4. And we're all done with this one. Okay, let's go on down to the next example. So in this example, I have the number in front of x. In this case, it's -1. We don't write the 1. So b is negative. And the number in front of 12, or the last number, 12, is actually -12. So c is negative as well. So when b and c are both negative, we're looking for one positive and one negative factor, but the negative factor has to have an absolute value larger than the positive factor, because when you add the negative and the positive together, when you're thinking of foiling it, if you're going the other way, it has to add to a negative. So with that in mind, I'm thinking, what two numbers can I multiply to get -12 that have an absolute value difference that would be an absolute value difference of 1 here? And the two numbers are 3 and -4. Okay. Now I can list out all the factors, and I could do positive or -3, +4, -2, +6, +2, -6, and so on and so forth. But if I know I'm looking for a difference of when I add these of -1, I can come up with my solution a bit easier. And again, if I'm thinking like boxes and triangles here, I want them to add to -1. And then if I'm thinking it this way, I want them to multiply to -12. And I see that, 3 plus -4, that's going to add to -1, and 3 times -4 is going to add to -12. So I'm going to use +3 and -4 and write my factored form as x plus 3 times x minus 4. And that's it for that one. Okay, let's look at one more. So if I go on down, so let's see, this last problem here. So we have the value in front of x this is a +1. So b is positive and c is negative. Okay, when we're in that case, we have one positive factor, one negative factor, because you have to multiply to a negative, but then you have the positive factor has to have a slightly larger absolute value. Well, in this case, absolute value greater by 1 than the negative, okay, because we got to get that +1 when we add them together. So in this case, if we took -3 and multiplied by +4, we would get -12, and if we added these, -3 plus 4, we're going to get +1. Okay, so once you know these little tricks here, you're going to be able to factor these a lot quicker. Okay, and this simply factors to x minus 3 times x plus 4. And that's it. X minus 3 times x plus 4 Get my parentheses a little bit better there. But that's the factored form of that one. Again, you could use that other technique that the other teacher I know uses. You probably found it somewhere online, which is the square times a triangle. Or you could just list out the factors. You could list them all out and then circle the pair that adds to +1 in this case. But if you start to notice these patterns, you'll get factoring these a lot. It'll be a lot easier. You'll factor in a lot quicker. Hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day.